Good afternoon, and it's that time for Soccer 360, the #1 show that keeps you in the know with all the latest happenings in the world of football, both locally and internationally. I am your host, Delvin Owino, and today I'm joined with three very beautiful pundits. They're shining, they're glowing, they're shining brighter than the sun down in Dubai because it's a big game today, and I'm seeing them rocking their jerseys. City vs Chelsea. I have Salim here, I have Bar Prince here, Mr. Chelsea himself, and then I have Nicolette, who's going to be a neutral like me. Now let me introduce my pundits. But firstly, don't forget social media handles, bottom of the screen. WhatsApp number as well will be appearing on the screen. And don't forget as well, hashtag Soccer360 on Twitter. I'll be reading all your feedbacks and your predictions for those big games in a little bit in a while. Now, let me start with the neutral one. Yeah. Nicolette White, how are you doing?
I'm good.
I
even wore grey too, because grey is a neutral color.
Clearly.
Prove how neutral I'm going to be today.
You have to bring the popcorns. Where are the popcorns?
They're at home.
You forgot them?
Yeah.
I thought so. You'd have come with your jersey and just... But let me ask you, as a United fan, which team would you rather support here?
None.
Okay, not
you know
rather
why?
support,
okay.
but
you know
which
why?
team would you rather win?
Because we're all in that race for the top four.
Manchester is not in that.
I'll get to you.
Calm down.
I'll get to you.
Don't start.
You put him at
By
his
the way,
place.
Rashford said even top four is not good enough for United. Yeah.
What is good?
Anyway, we are going to come to you. Let me finish up with Nicolette.
Yeah.
Just, tell us how she's been doing. As a United fan, which team would you rather see win today? To benefit United, which team would you rather see win? In United's benefit.
In United's benefit, it would have to be Man City because
Yeah.
then Chelsea drops points.
Yeah, because Chelsea are the weaker side,
Yeah.
according to the other rivals. Very, very true. I'm seeing Bah here just giggling. Anyway, now let me start with the home team. Let's pay respect to the home team. Let me go to Salim Waziri first. Waziri, how are you doing? Rocking that sky blue City jersey?
I'm doing fine. I just can't wait for City to teach these diaper babies some good football. But then again, it has been a week that we have seen the return of one of the greats, Jose Mourinho. So I think for me, I can't complain much because this is one of the biggest.
You're just waiting for that game. I'm here itching. I'm eagerly waiting for that game. Now, one more question. We'll get into this game a little bit later on. Any fears on that Chelsea side? Anyone there you fear can cause you a bit of problems?
I doubt.
You doubt?
I doubt. I used to have chills whenever Eden Hazard was there because he could win a match single-handedly for Chelsea. But
now he's no more.
These diaper babies will be shut down.
Salim, very, very confident ahead of this game between City and Chelsea. He says there's no threat in that Chelsea side, and probably we'll just have to wait and see. For me, I'm neutral here. I'm not going to lean towards one side or the other. Now, on my left here, Mr. Bar Prince, you've been giggling all along. Now it's your time to speak now. How are you doing first and foremost?
First of all, I want to say and to specify categorically.
Just tell us how you're doing first.
That,
are you doing okay?
Yes, I'm very fine.
Okay, thank you. Now you
very
can go
eager to see and teach these retired Nottingham Forest fans calling themselves City fans. Manchester City has no fans. They have no fans. These are the retired Arsenal, Nottingham Forest fans. So today we are teaching them why we are Chelsea and why we deserve to be ahead of them. And of course, to Kombeleao. So definitely.
For how long?
You are the babies, actually.
For how long will that last? Now, that was a low blow to both Manchester City and Arsenal. Don't make me lean towards City now. I'm neutral, as I said.
Please.
Arsenal should not be involved in argument.
Please be, because again, sisi ni wakubwa wenu. So
anyway,
please
guys,
be there.
let's save your thoughts, save your arguments, save your debates for later on the show. We have to start off local perspective, of course, and first and foremost, let's just have a look at the KPL matches lined up for this weekend. Of course, there are no games today. All the games will be played as from tomorrow. I'll ask my director to bring those fixtures up, and they are the fixtures. Posta Rangers taking on Tusker FC. We have the big game, arguably the big game of the weekend, Bandari tackling Gor Mahia. We have Chemelil Sugar, who are also in threat if they miss another forfeit, another game of being relegated. They'll be tackling Madari United. And then we have Homeboys taking on Sony Sugar. We had this debate with you yesterday if Sony Sugar is still eligible to play these games.
No.
Other games on Sunday, Leopards, of course, taking on Kisumu All-Stars, Ulinzi versus Zoya Sugar. Those are just some of the games that are lined up in the KPL this coming weekend. Arguably the biggest game of the weekend in the Kenya Premier League, Bandari versus Gor Mahia, even though Bandari have been a bit wishy-washy. They haven't been showing what they did the last season. Now, let me just start off with predictions for that game. and then we'll be discussing Sony Sugar. Of course, I got your thoughts about Sony Sugar yesterday.
Maybe I can add something before we continue. The thing is, we have to clarify also to the viewers that there was a letter yesterday from the KPL management that all Sony Sugar matches and points have been nullified. So they have nothing. Neither do I have any fixture, so they're waiting for
until
the next
season ends. Yeah. Okay, then I'll be getting now Salim and Nicolette's thought on that. But then, first and foremost, guys, Bandari Gor Mahia, I need a prediction for that. We'll be previewing that game. Let me start. I didn't get your prediction yesterday in this game. Let me start with you, Prince. Bandari Gor Mahia?
Bandari, I think Gor Mahia will win. But again, it might be a draw because also Bandari have not been doing good. So I think maybe they might pull something, a surprise against Gor Mahia. Okay,
now straight now to Nicolette White and Salim Waziri. Let's start off here. Nicolette White, Bandari, Gor Mahia. What is the predictions for this game?
I'll give Gor Mahia a win, but a slim win. I'll give it a 2-1. A
2-1 victory. Salim Waziri, which team are you going for?
I'll go for a draw, a goal draw, 1-1, because we saw in midweek Bandari were leading 2-0 in their own backyard, and then FC Leopards equalized twice to get back into the game. So I think for me they can't make the same mistake twice. They've got at least to collect another point or maximum point. So I think for me, and lest we forget, Bandari has always been a bogey team to Kogalo. So I think because this season they want to chase for it, they won't just lay down and get beat. They will fight for something. So I'm going for a draw.
So going for a draw. Kogalo victory. My time to predict, I think I'll lean towards Gor Mahia side here. I'll go for a slender. I think it'll be a 2-1 victory to Gor Mahia. Now let's just get into the negatives of what's been happening in the KPL, and it's been revolving around no other than Sony Sugar. Now we did discuss this with Bar lightly. We touched on it lightly yesterday, but I want to get now Salim's thoughts and Nicolette's thoughts on this ongoing Sony Sugar issue. Of course, a statement has been released by FKF saying that they will not be participating further in the league, and all the points have been scrapped out for Sony Sugar. Now, Salim Waziri, let's start with you here now. Sony Sugar, what went wrong? What went wrong? Is it finances? Because we were discussing with Bar yesterday. They did actually make it to the stadium.
You've got to be taken off out of the league. So I think for me, finances has crippled the club, a club that has been there since inception,
20?
Almost 22 years.
22
so
years.
I think for me it's very sad. And you look at the lads in there, those lads like Samuel Onyango, those lads are quality players, and now they have got to sit back at home because the transfer window is shut down. So you've got to stay back and just wait for that transfer window to open before you get some hope. But then again, we talk about the Sony Sugar Company taking themselves out of the sponsorship. So that's where the rain started beating Sony Sugar.
That's where everything came now back down to earth. Now, Nicolette White, now, Salim must touch. Now, these players, of course, there's some talented young lads in that team. Now, they'll have to sit out the whole of the season, and the season just began. Now, Sony Sugar, of course, they're still under contract. So they still have to be paid for the entirety of the season.
Of course, they have to be paid. But to clarify about them reaching the stadium, according to the information that I got, is that there were Good Samaritans who actually sponsored their ride there. So it was not covered by the club. People actually tried to get them there on time. So you can literally see the level of, they do have backing, which is individual backing.
From their fans.
From their fans and the people who believe, let's say, in the team, but not from the team itself.
So hao majamaa walilipiwa ya kwenda stadi lakini hawakuwa sure watarudi home.
No, I'm sure it was a two-way
thing. But then it shouldn't get to that point where they needed. I think the people who actually went forward to pay for that actually saw the importance of them needing to play this game so they can maintain
at least,
their position in the KPL. Yeah.
But also, okay. But also, I sorry. I'm really worried, and I said it yesterday. This might happen to many clubs. Even
Chemelil Sugar in trouble. One more
in there. And then it will be really embarrassing if we see 2-3 more clubs, being relegated, because we saw a list of those clubs led by Kakamega Homeboys.
Is it the big clubs like Gor Mahia? I'd probably push. No, I wouldn't put AFC in there. Gor Mahia, Tusker, those are properly sponsored. Can they do something just to ensure this doesn't happen? We noticed this in the European League when Dortmund were under so much trouble and Bayern Munich came out and saved them. Can they at least just do something to keep the KPL afloat?
But then again, you can't also rely on the other teams, because as much as they seem heavily sponsored, Gor have had their financial problems as well. I think the only one who we haven't heard of financial problems would be Tusker. I think for me, the solution would be open up the clubs to other people to
Yeah,
come and
we
sponsor them.
discussed about this so many times.
Open them up, make it a public thing. Sony Sugar is available for sponsorship, which corporate wants it. You get, like the way Betika has come through and saved some Sofapaka. Such ways, like open up the club so guys can actually know that they can invest. For people who are interested in investing in the league,
absolutely.
make it public so people know.
Absolutely, but and then again, you look at this. My point was, if we keep on, these teams keep on dropping out, the likes of Kogalo are being given an easy way out because it simply means the points are given to a team that you've not played against. So it becomes much more easier because you look at teams like Kogalo. Let's say 11 games in Delvin, they're already 4 points clear. If you keep on adding points on them for teams that have dropped out, you're making it much more easier for them. But then again, as you're asking, Delvin, you look at these so-called well-sponsored clubs, the Tuskers. They only have the funds to operate within their means. So you look at, we have always been complaining about their stadiums. They can't have extra. If they can't have extra cash to maintain their own stadium, they cannot have extra cash to support another team. So there's no other amount that can come. And Nicoletta said another important point. Kogalo themselves, as big as they are cash strapped. So I think for me, it's just time. They've got to find a way, because we saw Kariobangi Sharks the other day being given that Betway sponsorship, because you have a marketing team that can sit down with other corporates and give them the reason why you should sponsor their team. So as Nicolette is saying, we talk about these clubs not having an incredible or well set up marketing department, because if you have lads, Delvin, who can sit with corporates and talk them into the sponsorship deal, because the Betway deal for Kariobangi Sharks has taken almost 3 years, but because they have been giving them time, they're seeing the project working. The Patilo Motors are going to the national team, so it's something that is progressive. So that's why they come in, because if Sony Sugar they don't have a marketing department, it becomes much more difficult.
Now, another thing I wanted to just throw in there now, does this risk being an issue that escalates all the way to CAF? Let's say Sony are gone, Chemelil go, and let's say another team goes. Does this risk being an issue escalate all the way to CAF?
Yeah. Of course, because all these clubs are registered under FIFA and CAF, because if a player participates in the national team, meaning we are members of the CAF, and also as long as let me make it simple, as long as the nation or as long as the national team is a member of CAF and FIFA, definitely everything that happens. Remember, we were warned, was it last month, but we were warned and we were sent letters by FIFA. So meaning we are members, and everything is monitored accordingly and according to the laws of football and the managing rules. So definitely anything wrong, we're going to face the music.
Now, before we wrap up, last thing here before we wrap up on the local scene, how far do you think CAF can push a punishment if this continues? What can be the worst that can happen?
Our league
the league being suspended?
Yeah.
They have to follow the law. They have their own rules.
So what does it say on the law, though?
The league is suspended because if at least 3/4 of the teams cannot, definitely.
And the most important point, Delvin, the agreement with CAF and the local league is if a league is an 18 team, 20 league team, 16 league team, it has got to stay intact until an agreement is found between the KPL and the federation. So I think for me now, it's one team down, Delvin. We're back to 17 league, and whatever CAF knows in their manifesto, in their mandate, or the agreement between KPL or FKF and the CAF, it's an 18 league team. Now we are down one. It's back to 17. So we have already violated the agreement between us and CAF. So I trust you, me, Delvin. If Chemelil goes down, which I don't play does,
to 16.
then we will be sanctioned.
Last question on this. Now, for example, we drop to 16 teams. How many teams then do get relegated the normal way, the normal league way?
I'm really sure that
that's another problem.
We cannot complete the whole season to qualify.
And how many teams get promoted? Because it will affect the team that's getting promoted.
No. Let us think it and have it this way. There's no way the league will continue with 16 teams. It is really impossible mpaka the end.
Yeah.
It is really impossible because now imagine team already mumecheza na Sony Sugar and everything, alafu kuna zile fixtures, they are all nullified. So again, the team or the league lazima irudi tena itengeneze fixture. Because there's no way, hata leo tunacheza na Sony Sugar, it is nullified, hatupatiwi points, it is just nullified, there's no match, postponed and everything, and then you just expect, no, they have to go back to the drawing board and then draw another fixture. I think it happened, it ever happened here in Kenya. I don't remember if it was in the league or in another competition, where there's a team which ilitoka injured and then they had to go back and try to do another
schedule the fixture list again.
They've got to, because when you look at it this way, Delvin, let's say Sofapaka has played, when it comes to the end of the league, Sofapaka has already, for example, played Sony.
Sony's already.
Sofapaka might be fighting for that number 4 spot with, let's say a Tusker. But then because Tusker has not played Sony Sugar, they'll be given 6 points.
Imagine.
Sofapaka already had played Sony Sugar, so it's
a mess.
It's a touch and go
They'll
situation.
complain.
It's a complaint.
Yes, they'll complain.
Let's leave it to the viewers, because now we have to jump into the international scene. You, the viewers at home, what do you think should be happening in a situation like this? Should the league just be suspended until a solution is gotten to this problem? Or what do you feel should be done? Because as Salim has clearly stated there, that's a very good example. It can bring a problem come to the end of the season. So you tell us what you feel about that. Now, we're going to jump into the international scene, and where else to start from? Jose Mourinho, Bar's beloved ex-manager, is back in the Premier League, and what a way to start off. He is the one kicking off the Premier League this weekend away to West Ham. It's a London derby, so anything can go there. Let's not be like, Spurs will get all the hype because they have a new manager. It will be an easy win. No. This will be a very difficult game. But first and foremost, I'm going to get to my pundits' thoughts on this game. But let's hear to what Jose Mourinho and Pellegrini, the West Ham United head coach, had to say ahead of this early kickoff game. Now, those are the newly appointed head coach of Tottenham Hotspur, Jose Mourinho, and Manuel Pellegrini of West Ham, with their thoughts ahead of this early kickoff game pitting West Ham against Spurs at the Olympic Stadium. Now, let's just start off with Salim Waziri. Jose Mourinho is back. Your thoughts on that, first and foremost?
Firstly, I've always been a fan. But then again, today, him and Manuel Pellegrini remembered when he was taking over Real Madrid when Pellegrini was leaving. They have a very sour relationship. He said he could never win a Champions League with Real Madrid. So I think for me there is that enmity in between them, but it has got to be proven today on the football field, because these are two coaches that know their football, Delvin. But then again, since Mourinho has just taken over, he won't want to make a mess of it. And you have seen in his predicted lineup, he wants to go with Vertonghen and Alderweireld. That's the best centre-back partnership in world football. So I think for me today, West Ham, as much as they signed over the transfer window, they have not shown why they signed all those players, because they have been blowing hot and cold. And you remember against, I think a couple of weeks ago, they were just hammered by Newcastle 3-0. So 3-1. So I think for me, this is where now they've got to show their mettle. And Jose Mourinho, Delvin, we know his way of play, because he has some quality players in there. And they have been leaking goals. Tottenham have been leaking goals. One of the Premier League sides that has not kept any away clean sheet. So I think for me today is it. He has got to find a way to bring these lads back on it, because we have seen their best players, the Christian Eriksen, are not playing to their level best. So he might just be the man that might just bring out the best out of all his classy players.
Now, Nicolette White, was Spurs right to sack Mauricio Pochettino?
Okay, I'll be honest, I'm very 50-50 about it. Pochettino, yes, needed to go, but then I don't feel like the way they did it was the correct way to do it. I would have given him till January and brought in someone else. I'm not convinced that Mourinho is the right fit as of yet, but then I feel like everyone kind of feels that way.
A majority of people do feel he's
so
not the right fit.
He may just try and prove himself, but to be honest, I feel like the EPL is tired of the pack the bus.
That style
of play just doesn't work anymore. Things have changed, and the team that Spurs has isn't a pack the bus team per se.
Now, something else here. Now, should Mourinho adopt Tottenham's style of play that Pochettino left out, or should he go in?
The question is, can he?
He's not going to do that.
The question
That's the
is,
thing. That's Mourinho for you. He
No.
will not. He will absolutely not do that. And so a lot of players will
Mourinho.
for me, I feel like there are a lot of players will not be able to play with his style of play.
Yeah.
So come January, if things don't work out as planned, they may have gone even further down.
Yeah.
So it was a very tricky situation. If it was up to me, I would have said Pochettino should have stayed at least until January.
Yeah. Now, let's hear from Salim before we go on a break.
Sasa mimi kwani siongei.
Salim, your thoughts?
But I think for me, Mourinho is not that foolish. He will play to the strengths of these lads, because Delvin, for me, in my opinion, you've got players in here, players that can defend for you, and all these silky players. Because Mourinho won't want to lose a job within 5 games. He will want to play to their strengths first and find a way if it works or it doesn't work. Because you've got a Sissoko. These are lads in the Dombeles. And the Wanyamas. These are lads that will put in work for you as a coach. But then again, he will he cannot tell Son to defend. Son has never defended. So he will let him have his way first because he cannot strap all these players in his way of play because he will lose the job. He will let them go out there and express themselves because trust you me, you'll see a different Tottenham because Tottenham has never played that defense. We talk about Mourinho being defensive. At Real Madrid, he never defended. He was winning titles. So yeah. Come on. Okay, now
we'll have to go on a short break. But when we come back, I'll get Nicolette's thoughts and Prince's thoughts on that West Ham vs Spurs game and get their prediction before we preview the big game of the weekend. That is Man City taking on Chelsea at the Etihad Stadium. We do not want to miss that. Don't go too far.